I'm Kim Sutton, and I teach middle school math in the Archie School District. I taught in a Raymore Peculiar School District. I taught the high school for 5 years and the freshman center for 3. At the high school, we attempted to use the BIST model, and it did not go well because not everyone was on board for it. So there were some teachers that used it and some teachers that did not. I attempted to because I was a first-year teacher. When I transferred to the freshman center, the building decided to adopt the BIST model as their discipline model to follow, and every teacher was on board and every teacher did use it. We first started out just with redirection, and if the students couldn't handle that, they went to the safe seat. And then from the safe seat, if they weren't able to adhere to those rules, which were to sit quietly, they were to work on either their think sheet or just participate quietly, with the lesson. Then we sent them to the buddy room, which was a nearby teacher. From there, if they could not handle themselves in the buddy room, it was on to the recovery room. And at that point, they had to make sure they filled out a think sheet, they processed through with the recovery room teacher, and then they had until the next class period to check in with their teacher and process. If they did not process, then they went back to recovery until they did process with the teacher. There were a few who knew the system and knew that if they did not process, they wouldn't have to come back to class. But we didn't let it go on forever. If they missed 2 class periods, they were allowed to come back to class. It was just something we had to do because there were students who would never process. Sometimes it resulted in a day of ISS, and then they were allowed back in the classroom. But there was usually a conversation that was forced to be had either with the principal or with the teacher if the students chose not to come on their own. Number one, your teachers and administrators all have to be on board. If the teachers are using the same process in every classroom, the students aren't going to manipulate, when they leave the classroom and when they don't. You have to have a recovery room teacher who knows and understands the model, whether it be the BIST model or whatever model you choose, because that is a focal point for those kids. And a lot of those kids actually create a relationship with that teacher, and that's who they can go and have conversations with when they know they're not okay for class. The main thing is that the teachers are on board. If there's some teachers that won't follow the model, then the students know that, and their discipline usually is worse in that classroom because they know they can get away with more. But if you have a set policy in writing and this is the model that you follow, then it does work more effectively. With there not really being a set discipline policy, or not policy, but model, where it's kind of left up to the teacher, it does make it difficult for the teacher to decide what is necessary for a principal to deal with and what needs to be handled in the classroom. So I've tried to collaborate with some surrounding teachers, maybe just try a buddy room process. We've yet to use it because I don't think any of us have had extreme cases yet, but it's something I would like to try. I think it's going to benefit your new teachers, definitely. New teachers, that's one of the hardest things for them, is to come in and be able to handle discipline. You can't anticipate what a student's going to do. So to have a model in place for the new teachers, and even new teachers to the district, helps those teachers ease that transition into their first year of teaching to handle those things. And if there's not something in place, it's really left up to wonder, how do I handle this? Did I handle it effectively? The veteran teachers aren't probably going to use it as often as the newer teachers because they've seen more and handled more.